We get the funniest looks from
everyone we meet.
Yeah, hey, we're not monkeys.
Are Kiss. You are Kiss. This is so cool. How's it feel to be Kiss?
Great.
Are we recording?
Are we
recording?
Are we? She's the one you gotta ask for that.
Are we
really.
Recording? All right, ask me the question.
How does it feel to be Kiss?
So, when I was a kid in Mississippi, it was my favorite band, of course, and my mom says, you know, you need to think about your future. And I said, nah, I'm going to be a rock star. And she goes, you are? I said, yeah, I'm going to be in Kiss. I'm going to be in a band like Kiss. And she says, well, there's already a Kiss. And I said, nah, by the time I grow up, nobody will remember who they are. So when I did this the second time around, which we started this in 2013, we started playing a few gigs. After a couple years, I said to my ma, I go, I did it, Ma. I'm in Kiss. So for me, it's a dream come true, you know. I don't know what they got to say. Ask them.
It's the same for you guys?
Yeah, for me, it's a dream come true. I've been liking Kiss since I was 13, so yeah.
And you guys?
Well, I started as a bass player because Gene was my idol, and then switched guitar a couple years later.
That.
Yeah. Then switched guitar a year later.
Oh, wow.
Well, I went to my friend's house, and he had this giant pool table. So we went down and we cranked our Kiss albums and played pool all day, and there was a drum set in the corner. And he says, well, this is my brother's drum set. Nobody touch my drum set. So I picked up the sticks, and I hit the vinyl couch. And I learned the whole drum solo from a live one, and I just thought, I think I'm going to be a drummer. And about a month later, the parents were upstairs listening, and somehow that drum set was in my room when I came home from school about a month later. So I'm a drummer now.
Are you the brainchild for this group? How was anyone hard to convince? Be like, we're doing the full thing, not just a cover band.
No,
we are Kiss.
There was me and a... You can't get a short story out of me, sorry. A guy saw... I own Mr. Zeros in Roseville, and a guy saw me in an article in Vitamin or City Pages or something, and he came in to sell me his Gene Simmons costume, and I said, oh, you're not doing Kiss anymore? And he goes, well, I don't have a Paul Stanley. And I started laughing. He goes, why, do you know one? And I said, well, you're talking to one. And he said, oh, it must have been a long time ago. And we were talking for a little while, and he left and calls me about a day or two later, and he says, hey, I want to do a Kiss tribute, but I only want to do the early years, like the first record, maybe the second record. And he's like, what do you think? And I said, well, that's what I used to do, was the early years. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty interested.
For those who wouldn't know Kiss, what would like the later years be that you're cutting out when you say you want to stick to
when
you say you want to stick to the mid 70s? Like, what does that entail? Just
74
kind
to
of like
75.
aesthetic or
74 to 75.
aesthetic and songs, really.
Yeah, and look and costumes. So he and I started jamming together, just like the real Gene and Paul did. And matter of fact, around the same time, but 40 years later. And then the third guy we brought in was the drummer, and it was, for a while it was just the three of us, just like the real Kiss. And then we found a guy named Paul Helms, who was in Kiss Army, one of the best ace imitators on the planet. And I couldn't believe that he wanted to play with us, but he came in, and we did our first full show in February of '74, which was the 40th anniversary of the first Kiss record. Wow. So, but we started about 6 months earlier in 2013.
Did you say 74?
Yeah.
Oh.
And we started about 6 months earlier in '73, just like Kiss did. So, to convince somebody, not really. There were guys that thought they wanted to do it, and then they realized how much work it was, and they didn't last very long, because it was just, they're like, oh, you know, it's all the rigmarole of a regular musician plus all this.
Plus all the get up, yeah.
The accoutrement.
I know, I approached him and said, hey, you ever looking for a fill-in? Give me a call. And he just kind of blew me off and No, we got our lineup. Don't worry about it. And I don't know, 6 months later, he calls me up and says, hey, kind of looking for a Gene. You want to do it? And kind of the rest is history from there for me.
It's got to be different for like a new band where, well, in a band like this, how much of brain space goes towards not certainly imitation, but, you know, following the correct guidelines of we're going to be mid-70s Kiss versus your regular band of like, hey, we're going to do covers, we're going to have a fun time. Does that kind of...
They work more
kind
than
of
we do.
Well, I think part of it too is once you have the outfits, you know, if you're going to do every year, I mean that's a lot goes into, you know, changing the stage, changing the outfits, and really the earlier years it was more raw, it was more. You know, it wasn't so
More about the
produced
music
and all
and
that.
less about the
yeah,
show.
just the music, yeah. And it's still a lot of fun to watch. It's still a lot of fun to do. But it's a little more personal because they, you know, when they were just starting out, they were just, you know, they were just getting into it. So
like these guys, Kevy had seen us around, and he was bugging a friend of ours, Marco. He's like, talk to that Kiss guy. I want to play with that Kiss guy. I'm like, nah. He's got his Beatles thing. Nah. And then somebody asked me to do a solo show, and I said, well, call that Beatles drummer. And we did a solo show. I was like, he's really good. And then we needed to fill in, and we brought him in, and it was Magic, song 3. And the next one was Gonzo. Yeah, we were at a jam or at a show.
Yeah, it was a show you guys played.
Yeah, and he says,
I was at the show and
you ever need a Gene? And I'm like, no. But the part he left out was the Starchild plays chess, and we moved the demon piece to the front of the line. So he didn't know that at that moment. He thought I was just blowing him off.
Yeah.
But no. And so I knew our Gene was going to be leaving. It was just a matter of time, so I called him. And same with Jimmy. He was in Mad Mike's band, the Spaceman. He was in Mad Mike's Funhouse, and I used to play with those guys as the Starchild. And one night we were backstage, and he's like, yeah, you ever need an ace fill-in? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. But again, that piece gets moved to the front of the board, and here we are. So 2017,
that's a really good lineup.
2019, last year, and our booking agent says it's the best lineup in the last 8 years. So here we are, Prince Music, folks.
Yeah.
Give a round of applause for Pika.
Woo!
Yes. Oh, Rick's making a sound. I can't believe I'm here with Kiss right now.
We're fake Kiss, by the way.
We're fake Kiss?
We're fake Kiss. Look, Mom, I meant fake Kiss.
Well, tell me about that. You get a little kid coming up to you. I mean, you're still a rock star. You don't got to tell him. Or where's the certain point where you're like, here's my business card. Here's Mr. Zero.
The little kid. I got a little boy. I was hoping he'd be here today. He didn't make it. So when I see little kids, you know, I keep the illusion going. And a funny story about that. My sister used to be a dancer in like Berenstein Bears and things like that, you know.
Oh, really?
Do you know what that is?
I like the children's book.
Yeah. My
There's
sister,
like real bears. Like a
yeah, they put on this enormous costume and put on these kid shows, and so my mom was backstage one time, and they brought this little kid back to bring to meet the bears, but they didn't know, and they're taking their heads off, you know, and the kid goes, oh, and it taught me long before I was doing this to keep up the illusion, you know. So with the little kids, yeah, you keep it up, but you know, some 50-year-old drunk guy that's hanging on me, it's like, here's my card, buy something from my store.
Well, hey, tell me a little bit about the store while we're on the topic. You, Mr. Zero's in Roseville.
Yeah, 209. It's our 12th
Nice little
year.
neighbor to Prince Music Company, one of our
right
other
across the
locations.
street. I plug her every Sunday morning at 7:05 for the last, I don't know how many years.
She's very appreciative.
Yeah, we opened in 09. We sell vinyl and CDs and cassettes and VHS, DVDs, laser discs, T-shirts, Nintendo, Sega,
It's a nice niche little shop.
toys. It's still in the package. Loose toys and things like that. Yeah.
That's
So-
really cool.
How come we haven't seen you in there?
Oh, I think I've been in. I haven't done the full stretch, but I'll if that's an invite.
Yeah.
Do I get a buy one get one free?
No, you
Please come to my
gotta knock
store.
on the door, and then we ask you the secret code for the day, and if you know the code, we let you in.
Oh, it's that kind of club.
Yeah. We don't want anybody in there.
It's
no.
very exclusive.
Yeah, you just walk up and open the door. It's that exclusive.
All right, maybe Pika can sneak me in sometime. How about your bandmates? You guys also what are you guys doing when you're not you guys play in other bands or is Kiss your life now?
No, there's a few other ones. I play in Made in Minneapolis, Iron Maiden tribute, Darkest Hour, a Megadeth tribute, Mad Mike's. Then I'm part of the hosting band at Route 47 every Thursday night. If you ever want to come to open jam, anyone can sign up.
Beautiful.
And besides that, I have a regular day job. I don't want to mention a company because they're not paying me to say that. So,
Well, as
They will now.
as Richard mentioned before, I'm playing a Beatles tribute, which is always also
They're fantastic. Hard
50
Day's Night.
Yeah, Hard Day's Night is
Ringo
playing
too?
all over town. I'm Ringo over there.
Yeah, they wear the suits and everything, man. They're just like
Yeah.
us. They use period correct instruments, amplifiers, and suits.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then another band, Varsity Rejects, and that's more like '90s danceable stuff. And yeah, I keep pretty busy with that. And Kiss is a lot of fun to play. I like this because I can use my whole big giant drum kit. So it's not the one you saw here today, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it usually has a couple more cymbals
Yeah,
and a microphone.
yeah.
Yeah,
we're using little amplifiers too. We got great big
Big
amplifiers.
walls.
yeah, it's walls,
With smoking guitar. Spaceman has a smoking guitar, and
bit blood.
Demon spits blood, and I break a guitar, and we got confetti, and blah 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 blah. So Demon,
Yeah.
you're in one of the most successful working bands in town. Tell us about that now.
Oh, geez. Hollywood Boulevard. I've been in that now for 3 years. It's a blast. We do 80s hair band stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
so,
a band.
yeah.
One of your members is in Rochester, right?
No.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, so we do the Rat, Molly Crew, Poison, White Snake, all that hair stuff. It's great.
I call it MTV '88 music.
Yeah. Yeah, we're booked pretty much every weekend. This is just a hobby for me, doing the Kiss and Time thing. This has always been a dream of mine to be in a Kiss tribute band. This is great. Just time of my life.
Well, this is really cool because you guys have that deep-rooted passion for the band. Well, what can you tell me from people like being them? What are the small minuscule things? How detailed can you get when you're trying to be Kiss? What are some of the things that a regular Kiss fan? I know the face paint. Wanna rock and roll. What are some of the minuscule details that you guys go
There
through?
was somebody that was talking to me right after the show on Friday night that said, the details that we have, there's little sound effects, or some people will yell something. They're not really on the mic, but they're in the moment, and when I get to that part, I'll get off the mic and yell that part. The moves, where you step, where you stand, the choreography. I mean, that's half the fun of it, because
Yeah, it's
some
creating
people
a
see
show.
Kiss even now. They play the same show now, to play the songs the exact same way with their steps and their moves and everything when they shake their head, the same as they did it 30 years ago. And that kind of makes it easy for us, because we have a direction, we have a map, we have a blueprint to work from. So.
So on the minuscule details, I play Midnight Special like Paul did. He played it from October of '74 to March of '75, and that's a Midnight Special right there. It's a really unique Gibson. I wear a whistle just like Paul did, late '74, early '75. This jacket is very close to the one he wore in October of 1975. There's some minuscule details for you right there.
Well, a lot of this information is, are you taking this from, listening to the albums, growing up watching the concerts? What additional content are you like looking into? Do you look into other Kiss cover bands as well to glean these details, or is it just
we learn from the real ones. We learn from the masters. Yeah. Luckily,
I helped write a book. I helped
YouTube.
write a book
like
years ago.
watch like documentaries or things like that, or
Well, yeah,
most of
concert
the,
yeah.
footage.
But I helped write a book in '02, Kiss Alive Forever, and I'm working on my own book. You can read excerpts of it on rosevillepatch.com. Go to Mr. Zero's /Kiss, and there's, I don't know, 11 or 12 chapters online that you can read about. I just grew up with it, and myself, we moved 19 times in 17 years, so I never had any friends. So I just had time, and I would just do research, and I'd write things down and this and that, and it was just really interesting to me. And like I said, I said, well, that's what I'm gonna do when I grow up. So it's me, and I made a joke. The other bands, they call me. Well, what did they do? Did they ever do this? Did they ever do that? Just earlier, who asked me, did Peter ever paint his nails? I said, no, he's the only one that didn't. And, oh, why? And I said, well, because he chewed his nails so far down, he didn't have really any fingernails. So I made a joke, but it's kind of true. And, watching hundreds and thousands of hours of concerts and videos and documentaries, reading magazines, blah, 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 blah.
I'm interested to hear your opinion then. What at a high level made Kiss so successful as a marketable band? Being out there, if someone's trying to become their own OG Kiss, with aesthetic, songs, and everything, what made Kiss, stand out and made them
at the time, they were the only ones doing anything like this. They were the pioneers.
Kind of.
Yeah, the whole timing of the thing, I think.
Yeah,
I have a radio, I just mentioned my radio show, right? In December, I did a 2-part radio show on the New York scene, the music scene, 71, 72, 73, 74, of all the competing bands at that time. And at the time, the New York Dolls were the most popular, followed by the Brats. And then there was a few other groups like Harlots of 42nd Street and Street Punk and Luger and Teenage Lust and Flaming Youth. And Kiss was among these bands. Twisted Sister was another one. And I was very fascinated by that. Robert Duncan wrote a book on it that got me interested because he talked about those early bands. And I've been trying to write an article on it, but there's just not a lot of information on it. So one day I had the idea, I was like, oh, I can do a radio show on it. And I played like one of their best songs from all those different bands. And you can go here at MrZeros.com and the podcast. It's in there. New York Scene, early 70s 1, or New York Scene, early 70s 2. And you can hear all those bands. And then when you hear them together, I gave Gonzo a copy.
Yeah, I listened to it. It's
And
really cool.
you can hear those bands, they sound like Rolling Stones. Almost all of them just sound like the Rolling Stones. And then there was Kiss. And they were the only ones that were doing music that sounded different, and then they had a different image. Because all those other bands, they were doing the glam thing, like the New York Dolls and Twisted Sister. And Kiss tried that, but it didn't work. And then they switched to the black and silver. And you had like 12 bands that sounded the same and looked the same, and then you had Kiss. So if you're really interested in that question, go to MrZeros.com, podcast, New York early 70s, volume 1 and 2, and you can hear what they sounded like, and you can go like, that's what it is. But later, it was the superhero image appealed to the nerds who had no friends. That was me.
Destroyer came out, and then all these little kids just said, "Look at that! That's cool."
I know.
And
did.
the image
my
changed a
neighbor
little
Jimmy
bit.
Smith, he had Destroyer, and he was going on and on about Detroit Rock City, and I was like, well, what is it? Because I had heard Rock and Roll Night and Shout It Out Loud and Beth, and I was unimpressed. And he's like, well, you got to hear Detroit Rock City. He played it, and I go, yeah.
Oh, that's
And I
funny.
said, what's this song? Sweet Pain. It made me laugh. I was like, I don't get it, because I was a little kid. And I said, well, we'll play that. And I heard Gene's voice, and I was like, this is the sound. And then he handed me the album cover, and I'm like, I was blown away. I said, Mom, I want this. And she goes, my mom's hardcore Catholic, you're not getting that. So my friends bought it for me.
Devil music.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was.
staring at that album cover for hours, listening to that record over and over.
The
and
first
over.
You know what's
album
weird
I
is I
bought
stare
was
at you for
Alive.
hours.
The first album I bought was Alive, and then I filled in with the other studio ones. But yeah, I saw the live one, and I just thought, wow, I got to have more of this.
My old man was a musician, and he had a buddy come over, and I was 8 years old, and I saw Kiss on TV. I'm like, Dad, who are these guys? I saw these flaming guitars and stuff, and then his friend brought over Dressed to Kill and Hotter Than Hell, and Hotter Than Hell really intrigued me. That album cover, if you ever seen it, it's like, whoa, what's going on here, you
Right?
know?
It's totally weird.
And that to this day is my favorite album, Hotter Than Hell.
Mine too, actually.
That's their
good
second.
songs.
Yep.
Going back in on how to be different, and kind of gleaning from what I hear from you, the face paint, the look, the aesthetic Kiss brung, and then you guys went off about kind of how you felt listening to the music. Those two kind of balances.
Because I had no friends. Yeah.
Well, they didn't play Kiss on the radio, so I just bought the records and learned every sound, every note from the records. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't know who Van Halen was till the second album came out. I didn't listen to the radio.
Where I lived in Mississippi, there was only, I mean, it was predominantly country and gospel and religious music. They had one top 40 station and one FM album station. And Kiss, believe it or not, had 10 top 40 hits. A lot of people are like, no, they didn't. Well, I did a radio show on it, and I played, they're all top 40s, man, 39 and up. And so I did hear a lot of those on the radio. Like I said, Beth, Rock and Roll Night, Shout Out Loud. They didn't do anything for me until Sweet Pain, but that was really what pushed me over. And I don't know. What about you, Demon? What's your story?
Yeah.
But
He's
He's looking out the window.
taking pictures with people. They're taking pictures of me in here.
Was she that good looking?
Yeah, well, there was a whole bunch of them. So I got a little sidetracked there. Where were we at?
Well, you guys.
Yeah, you discovered Kiss.
Oh yeah, my cousin turned me on to it, like the Destroyer album. Like I said, he put it on, and I just stared at that album cover forever. The only song I heard prior to that was Rock and Roll All Night. I didn't even have the album yet, and I got Destroyer right away, and then I got Alive right away, and I was like, I got to hear these studio versions. And I went out and picked up the first 3 albums, and then just waited for the next album to come out. Rock and Roll Over came out. It was just, and then they came in concert. February of '77, I went to see that, and then just waited.
Met Center, where we are sitting.
Yeah, we're sitting
I
right
think
where
it was
the-
actually across the
actually
street.
by
This is
IKEA.
That's
where
right.
it's
Across the
wow.
street.
Yeah. And then waiting for Love Gun to come out, and that was just, it was so great. Just waiting for the next album to come out, and couldn't wait for the next album to come out.
I saw him January '77 in Lincoln. And,
Same tour. Uriah
yeah,
Heep
that-
opened for him
that-
there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uriah Heep.
You know,
opened
that's
for him
why
here.
I do when we do Nothing to Lose, I sing that part, because that's
Yeah,
from
'cause
that
that's where
tour.
they, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, doing
Yeah.
the double vocal.
You want to do it now?
Well, coming from your guys' well-established rock and roll palette, you guys, I can totally get how the aesthetic stands out from your Twisted Sister, and what else was probably going on 70s and 80s there. Could you dive a little bit deeper into the sound? Like what made that connect? Like your favorite song from Kiss. How could you help explain from a rock and roll sense how that was different than what else was on the scene?
I'll explain it from a musical standpoint. The timbre of Gene's voice sent shivers down my spine. That's what it was. It was something about his voice. And Ezrin's production on that song, it's kind of the Phil Spector wall of sound, a lot of reverb. Just, where I lived in Mississippi at that time, it was like Firefall and Poco and Ambrosia. And then all of a sudden you hear like Sweet Pain was like a freight train coming through your living room.
Well, there's Benny and the Jets, Elton John, BTO. That was what was popular at the time when Kiss hit the scene. And
Well,
it
they
just, I
didn't
went
play-
from
they
listening
played
to
Elton down there, but not BTO.
Well,
Yeah,
one
I
thing
mean-
I noticed too is Ace Frehley had new sounds coming out of his guitar on each album. He had new effects on every time. Peter Criss had basically the same drum sound for most of the time, but the what they did with their voices was a little different on every album. But I really noticed Ace Frehley would have more and more with the electronics, and I just thought that was really cool. That was the first place that I heard the new guitar tones, the wah pedals, and the
Phase in, flange in.
I'll expand on that a little bit.
Well, the thing about Ace too is his vibrato.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
come here kissing time, I really zero in on that. It's the way he bends the notes. I mean, that's what separates lead guitar players.
Because he has like
sometimes.
bionic fingers. Look at you.
Yeah.
And if you listen to how I play, it's the way he bends the notes. It's more of a slower, gradual vibrato that'll pick up speed as it goes on. And I make sure I really zero in on that. I mean, because
No pun
that's what I
intended
am,
with the
lead guitar
Serro.
player.
No, I embrace it. I'll expound on this. The guitar sound. Ezrin had Ace and Paul tune slightly out of tune with each other. They were just
On purpose.
just barely, so that when they hit the same note, it sounded
Fills
different.
it up more.
It
A
was
chorus
fuller,
effect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost almost a chorus effect, and then they just stuck with that, and they kept doing that. And I don't know that Space Ace knows this, but I do off tune slightly to him, and but I don't know if you can tell that out front or not.
No, it's probably a quarter semitone, I would guess. That's what they would do, right? Not a half step, but a quarter step.
Yeah, well, definitely not a half step. No, I was thinking an eighth or so.
A quarter or an eighth, yep.
Just slightly.
Well,
So
I'd love to ask about the Kiss act, maybe as a whole, because maybe of course, you guys are probably going to do it until you
I got
don't
a
want to
question
do
for
it.
you, though.
Of course.
I got a question for everybody here. And now you're filming this, right?
Yeah.
Do these people know that you're not wearing pants?
All right, so we have like a whole couple months worth of this of me wearing lemon pants and Pika and Rick making fun of me. It's summer, guys. Come on, you gotta give us. That's all I gotta.
See, that's the reason I say that, because it's not too different than what we do. It's the illusion.
Of course.
Right? See, the people are seeing you now, and they see you got a jacket
Don't
on.
see my
Can
They're-
look
yeah,
inside
see,
and
we're
now-
shorty shorts.
They envision in their mind, they think you're wearing pants that
like a
probably
Zoom
match
call.
your jacket, but you're not. So it's the illusion, and that's a lot of it. That's a lot of what we do.
Yeah. You
So
put out the persona, if you will. I know
Yeah.
I turn it on. I know Rick turns it on. It's just when you're on stage,
Who's
you're
Rick?
the character, Starchild. I just become Gene, and it's sort of automatic. I don't really make an effort. It just sort of happens. And my wife's even said no matter what, you put on the makeup and you just turn into Gene.
At the drive-thru, they say, "You want fries with that?" And he says, "Oh yeah, oh yeah."
You know, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. What Demon is saying here is not unfounded. If you don't know, tonight there's a part 1 of Kiss's documentary tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, and part 2 is tomorrow night. And just by sheer magic and God or whatever, when Pika and I booked this months ago, they hadn't even announced a documentary. And then it came to pass. She says, "You still doing the show?" He says, "Yeah." And then it's like, boom, it's on the same, like in 2
Interesting.
hours.
What
Be
is-
on the same day.
Yeah, a couple hours. It's on.
What's this documentary through? Is it
It's on Kiss.
You know, those guys
Yeah.
try to be like
Yeah.
us
But who's
so
making it though?
much.
Is it like a
A&E.
Netflix
A&E.
thing? Okay,
Yeah.
there it is. Cool.
It's a 4-hour thing, but and they'll cover that in this documentary. Gene and Paul. Gene never drank or smoked or did drugs, and Paul very little, if at all. And but when they put on the getup, they became that character. And Ace and Peter used stimulants to become those characters by their own
Hey,
admission.
speaking of that, got a beer?
You gotta talk to your host.
Getting everyone drunk after the show.
And
Not Gene, I'll take his beer.
so, and that developed into a problem for Ace and Peter, because they had to use something every night, and eventually that's why they left the band. And I haven't really. People ask me questions all the time, and I haven't really got to answer this in an interview, so I want to address this in
Please do.
this. on a micro level, I have gone through what the real Kiss went through in so many situations. And I'll sit back and laugh to myself, and I'll think, gosh, that's what they went through. And I'll tell you this. I started this band in 2013. That was 8 years ago. And some of these guys have been here a while and some not so long. But the ones that didn't stay, there's a reason they didn't stay, because had the opposite problem of what the Demon just said. They put on the getup, and they didn't become that character. It was work for them, or they needed stimulants. And then after a while, it's you got to go. And the same thing here. I walk in as Mr. Zero, I put this stuff on, and I'm a different guy. And then I take it off, and then I go back to being me. But there were a lot of guys before that they didn't change their frame of mind. And you talk to them like, guys, you got to step up your game, and then they end up using stimulants, and then
once you get on the stage, the rest of the world is not there anymore. This is my world now when I'm on the stage. I get behind a drum set, this one, or the Beatles kit, or the big giant Kiss drum set. My eyes are closed actually half the night because I'm there. I'm just feeling it. So
sometimes we got to throw stuff at them to tell them to quit playing.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy to see how much the formula works. That was by far the biggest crowd we've had on a showcase at the Mall of America so far.
Yeah, look at us.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Did you get a picture of the crowd?
Spectacle to see. Everybody wants to see a spectacle.
No disrespect to any of your other hosts. I've watched not all. I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched all of the broadcasts, but I watched a lot. And some of them are fabulous musicians, and they're way better than I could ever be. But they're just not much to look at, They're sitting there creating this beautiful music.
They need a big sign with their name on it. Big light up sign for one thing.
And lots of black and silver.
Yeah.
And I've told people before, I said, hey, you should come see my show. I don't like Kiss. And I go, a lot of people don't. But
it's fun to watch.
Watch the show.
Yeah.
And there was a guy.
It's like circus, rock and roll circus.
Rock and roll circus, yeah.
It's my job to go out there every time and make a spectacle of myself. That's just what it is. If I don't, I'm not filling the bill.
Hey, look at me. Don't look at that guy. Look at me. Look at me.
All about me.
And I've had many, many people over the last 8 years come up to me and go, dude, I hate Kiss, but you're awesome. And it's like, and that's why I tell people, go to the show. It's entertainment. You're not just, going to have a steak and listen to some guy play some beautiful love song on a 12-string guitar, and that is beautiful in its own right. But, we're going to rock and roll right over you. So
it's crazy. I was going to ask, sort of like, Kiss as an intellectual property, it's going to live forever. Because you think Kiss, that's immediately going to pop up in your mind. People could be doing this.
I just saw, and there was an interview from Paul Stanley on Blabbermouth, and he said that, we don't have a problem with replacing Gene and Paul and having Kiss live on. So
2023,
we might see something.
Replacements,
It's going to keep on going.
Yeah, Paul said that years ago. So did Gene. I can see Kiss continuing on without us, is what was said.
Yeah, there was a guy that did step in for Gene, Spiro Papadopoulos.
Yeah. He looked exactly like him. Yeah.
You couldn't tell. You could not tell.
When Gene went up into the lights on God of Thunder, that was the standing guy, because Gene doesn't want to risk getting hurt. Gene has $1 million insurance policy on his tongue in case some kind of accident, if somebody punches him or something.
London,
But what's your guys' opinion then if Gene isn't in the band anymore? Is it still Kiss? Once everyone's replaced.
I don't like that because there's so many guys. There's a couple of different camps on that. It's not Kiss without Ace and Peter. And I'm like, well, my thing is, I am not a Pink Floyd fan at all in any way, shape, or form. And Roger Waters can go out there and sell out a stadium because he's Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
But Gilmore isn't there. Rick Wright and Sid Barrett are dead. And, Nick Mason isn't there. But it can be Pink Floyd with Roger Waters. But yet you got two two founding members,
Yeah.
and it's not Kiss without Ace and Peter. So that's a really divided question. And Paul Stanley said it best 2 days ago, talking about this documentary on them tonight. He said, you know, Ace and Peter aren't in the documentary, and he goes, and that's unfortunate. And he goes, because those guys were part of the beginning of the band. And he goes, but I got to tell you this, if those guys had stayed in the band, we would not be a band. And I'm having, like I said a few minutes ago, having done this on a micro scale of what they're doing, I know what he means.
Yeah.
I had an ace in the band a long time ago that we had to get rid of him. If we kept him in the band, this would not
Been able to
exist.
succeed, yeah.
We would not be. We certainly wouldn't be playing Prince music on a Sunday afternoon. I'll tell you that. So he had to go, you know, and then we got somebody else, and here we are. So, is it Kiss without Gene and Paul? I don't know. It's authorized by them, so yeah, it is.
The characters would definitely
Yeah.
need to stay, but who's behind the makeup? As long as they sound like it, they have that feel. They have that. I'm Paul Stanley now, like you were talking about before, about becoming them. As long as that's what it is and it's convincing, okay. But if they try to do different characters and, you know, maybe different face paint, maybe people would just say, well, I don't know.
It's like a Broadway musical. You got to treat it like that if that's what it's going to become.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. On that ace that left, he said, well, we'll see who shows up when I leave. And I said, dude, they don't show up because you're here. They show up to see a guy in a silver paint and a time clock V. I said, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who's in there. Are you out of your mind? You think you have that many fans? And it was a speed bump. Boom. We were on to the next. We replaced
You mean
him
an egotistical lead guitar player?
who's always late?
Never. Oh, man.
You want to hear a funny story? What was it, 2-3 years ago, we opened for Ace at Outtakes.
Ace was in town for a meet and greet.
in
so.
New Hope.
Oh, I remember that.
And
The Rebel Queens were there, weren't
yeah. And
Rebel Queens were there. Shout out to them.
they opened and then we closed. But it was Rebel Queens, Ace, us, Ace, or something like. Anyway, point is, so because we're doing the show and we're all, they said, well, let's get a picture with you and Ace, with your band and Ace. Would you like that? And I'm like, well, yeah. What do you mean? So we go over and we're waiting for him, and our guy that played Ace is not to be found. It's just me and Kevy and our former demon, and we're standing around, and they're like, and there was
This is
a couple
it.
of them are like, well, where is he? Where is
This
he? And
is
I'm
the
like,
moment.
we're
Here he
looking down
is.
the hall, and here comes the real Ace Frehley walking down the hall, and I said, well, screw him. We'll use this guy right here. And our Ace literally walked in 1 second before Ace got there. And I'm just like, dude, you take this way too serious. But it was beautiful because he walked in, and Ace looked up and looked at our Ace, and he goes, Dad!
Well, I'm curious to know, from a perspective of, you know, Kiss was different when it came out. Is there anybody you see after Kiss where it's like, oh, they're trying to be Kiss?
Who's different now?
Well, who basically has the
Motley
playbook?
Crue.
Who's got
Yeah.
the playbook?
Motley Crue immediately.
But you see behind it, Motley Crue.
Motley Crue immediately. In fact, that was one of the reasons Kiss took off their makeup, because the final Kiss tour, the original Kiss tour with makeup, Motley Crue was the opener, and they were getting a lot more response, and Kiss was kind of like going, you know, they just seem more updated than us, and they said it's time to change, so they took it off, and then, you know, Motley Crue opened the door. The thing is, I'm a big Twisted Sister fan, and they get a lot of bad rap because Sister started in '72, same time as Kiss. But the first year they were called Silver Star, and '73 they were called Twisted Sister. And they had been around, you know, 10 years. I mean, Dee Snider himself said we're a 10-year overnight sensation. They didn't really change what they did. It was just like
The market came to them.
Yeah, the time finally caught up to what they were doing.
Nirvana was 10 years old before they got their record deal. They did what they do, and the market came to them.
Yeah. So people say, "Oh, Twisted Sister just copied Kiss." I said, "Well, no, they were at the exact same time. They just stuck it out." But Crew really did open the door, and then it was just, Poison and Cinderella and.
Well, I think someone like Slipknot too does. They create their own characters and stuff. Even though they're completely different kind of music.
Yeah.
I got You want to hear my Slipknot story?
What's that?
It's awesome. So I lived in Des Moines for a long time before I came here.
And of course they're from there, right?
Yeah. They owned a bar called Harry Mary's, which was literally 10 blocks from my apartment. They were the house band every night. And but Jim Root, who's in Slipknot now, was in a different band called Atomic Opera, and Corey was in Stone Sour, and Joey was in Anal Blast, which we're out of here.
Classic. Nice.
And
not much radio
sorry,
play.
that was the name, folks. I didn't. That's who it was. So anyway, I had a Kiss tribute back then called Black Diamond, and my ace had left. And Jim Root used to buy Iron Maiden cassettes from me I worked at a store called Record Shop. And they were in Des Moines, but it's out of Golden Valley. But anyway, Jim Root came in, and I said to somebody, he goes, is he a good guitar player? And they're like, dude, oh, he's great. And back then he had like an Ace haircut, and it was black. And I walked up to him and I said, I hear you're pretty good. And he goes, yeah, so? And I said, well, I'm looking for a new Ace in my Kiss tribute band. He goes, Kiss music is beneath me, and I would never wear makeup. And I said, oh, okay. So that was summer of '87 for certain, summer of '87. So summer of 2001, we're in Somerset, Wisconsin, and Slipknot's opening for Black Sabbath. And Slipknot walks out onto the stage, and I looked at my buddy, and I go, how long has Jim Root been in Slipknot? And he goes, for a couple years now. How did you not know that? And I go, I don't know. I don't like Slipknot. And he goes, how do you know that's Jim Root? I said, I've known that kid since he was 16. I know the way he walks. I know the way he stands. I'd seen him play I don't know how many times in Atomic Opera. And then I said, oh, you would never wear makeup, but you'll wear a mask. For $1 million a year, I'll wear a mask. So that's my Slipknot story. Pretty good, huh? Yeah. All right, Paul!
That's a good story. Wow.
You didn't clap.
Sorry.
You didn't like my story? You're just mad I got a better story.
You got way more stories than I got.
All right, before we bring Rick over here and end this show, I wanna know from you guys.
Hey, I want to know if is there going to be a brawl? I watched one time where there was a big brawl here.
Oh, Rick ain't trying that again.
Okay. I'm ready. I was working out last night, waiting for that dude to attack me.
Nah, I was just on the road. I just did 3 wrestling shows. I'm too tired to figure that out.
Did we go over our 10 minutes?
Yeah.
You get an encore. There's so many people wanting to get in here and take pictures with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
See, every single one. For guys that love, they love the Kiss characters, you have a lot of knowledge behind, what makes the characters go and work. For an artist watching right now, deciding to either choose a character to become or creating their own character, what kind of advice, what do you want to see? If you're seeing a new character or something else, what do you want to see protrude? What are the main things you want to see if you're looking at a new character?
Well, I'm a little confused on this question.
It could be like on stage or
You mean like
anywhere
us in our band or another band?
Speaking for what do you want to see when you're looking out at another band? If there's someone here who wants to join a band,
my set list.
They want to do their own song and dance. What do you want to see?
like-
What do you want to see from them? What would be your advice to them that you're watching?
Just be the character that you're portraying.
Be who you are,
Be
man.
that- yeah.
Don't. There, I've been in the music biz since before you were born, I assure you. And it was here, Mall of America. There was this club upstairs, and a band was playing there called the Flying Tigers. And a record label brought me in, and we're doing a big showcase for them, blah, 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 blah. And I thought they were really good. And they hold a record at Atlantic Records for being dropped the quickest in the label history. 2 weeks later, they were dropped. And their song was on the radio. And you could not buy their product because they dropped them. They stopped making it. And I was like, wow, these guys are really good. I really enjoy this. And my coworker goes, you hate Nirvana. And I go, what? And they go, these guys sound exactly like Nirvana. And I go, they do? And he goes, yeah. And how do you not know that? And I go, I don't know. I'm just listening to them for them. And that was same with a band that I loved called Drain STH out of Sweden. I thought they were fabulous, all-girl band. I saw several shows with them. I had brunch with them at the old Metrodome, blah, 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 blah. And I was playing it one day, and another same kind of thing. My coworker goes, I thought you didn't like Alice in Chains. And I go, I don't, but I like these guys. So if you're asking me, be who you are. Don't try to copy somebody else. Use them as a template, but don't copy them. These guys...
And if you're going to copy them, be a tribute band.
And wear makeup and platforms. And I want to say this about these guys. I've been, I was trying not to run my mouth at this, but that's what I do. But these guys are the talent. These guys are the talent. I really do musically ride on their coattails. So as far as musicianship, that's a better question for them. As far as like an image or an entertainer, I can answer that. But these guys are the talent.
Absolutely. Well, I'd be curious to hear.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What do you want to see?
A new band, Kevy. What would you like to see?
A new band. Wow.
Or here.
I like a crunchy guitar. I like a lead singer that moves around a lot.
You can understand.
One of the bands that I saw recently, Jimmy's show. The thing about them was everybody's moving around on stage. When you're playing, it's very easy to just say, oh, okay, we're doing this song again, and this is our thing that we do. But hey, you got to go to the other side of the stage and rock out to this guy over there. You got to, look at people and point at them and make them part of the show. That's what I want to see. I want the band to interact with the crowd. Look at them, talk to them. I mean, that's it. Just have fun with it.
Well, I think for me, it's about the sound. So number one, you want to listen to your R&B, you need the soul. Number two, listen to some classical, you need some discipline. You want to bring it all together too, so listen to some jazz, and of course you need speed and technique, so listen to some thrash metal. Yeah. But yeah, first of all, you just got to write good songs too, songs that appeal to people, and songs people can relate to, and can't get too caught up in yourself.
Something with a hook, perhaps. Right. Be it vocal or musical hook. Yeah.
How about you?
Oh,
Your
I'm
last
just doing
one.
my 2 cents in there. They pretty much covered all of it. Just something new and crunchy.
All right, Rick. Before we go, how the heck did you get Kissing here for the Sunday showcase, man? They packed the place.
Dude, this is kissing time. Not Kiss.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, did you do any research on us before we showed up?
You guys, you see what I got to put up with? Mr. Intelligent here.
Hey, if this was a real Kiss, we'd have pizza.
I got
I kind of miss it. They always
kissing-
have
this is
pizza
kissing
after the
time.
show.
Kissing time. Not Kiss. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys had to put up with this. You see what I got to deal with on a weekly basis?
Thanks,
Oh,
Rick.
man.
Every week,
I
man.
thought I had a hard job.
I'm telling you. Anyway.
Where the violence is this week.
Yeah, well, we keep that off camera now.
Well, we're
Once-
really happy to be here.
Kevy,
We're glad we could do the
90
show
minutes
today
every
because
Once we're done, I'm
It's
gonna
n-
whoop his ass.
All right.
it's
mean,
not
but-
too often you go to the mall and play some live music. I mean, this is a great location here because a lot of people could see. And
We're on
we've got a lot
hallowed
of-
ground too, because this was the Met Center, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is where
I-
Kiss played.
I want to add this real quick about music today. This is not my story. I heard it. Some girl at high school wanted to start a band, so she ran an ad for musicians, and this around here. and like one drummer answered the ad, one bass player, and 30 singers. And she's like, no, not even any guitar players. And so I'm watching this and I'm like going, wow, that's kind of weird, you know. And I said, well, it's like shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent and all those other reality shows that anybody who's a karaoke singer thinks, you know, they got what it takes. And no disrespect to them, because they're probably better singers than I am, but they don't play an instrument by and large, you know. And two people I know personally ended up on the Voice. Kat Perkins, who's playing here in town pretty quick, and Nicholas David. Both of them got on there and scored really high. But, you know, I won't watch those shows because specifically that Simon Cowell, he's the bane of my existence. I don't enjoy that guy. And my response to that is Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks,
Neil Young.
Neil Young. None of those insanely talented musicians would have gone anywhere on those stupid reality shows. That's why I say, do what you do.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what Simon Cowell says. Do what you do.
Did you guys know that I play a little harmonica?
I heard that earlier. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not very well.
Good job.
I got to tell you, I've been sitting here looking at your face for the last 10 minutes or whatever it's been. Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Val
Yeah.
Kilmer.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh,
The
man,
Iceman.
Man, if you dye your hair brown, you could be Kilmer in The Doors. Because he did Kilmer played Morrison in The Doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He also said, "I'm your Huckleberry."
I got an instant photo I'll show you later.
Okay. What, Val Kilmer's your dad?
Maybe.
Oh.
System Sunday Showcase at Prince Music Company at the Mall of America. We're here with Kiss in Time. I can't believe you guys want the actual Kiss. Drop that on me. Anywho, maybe one day I'll learn how to be a character. But until then, we'll see you next time. As always, trust the system.
All right.
Thank you, guys.